All right, let's talk about something that can quietly make or break your business: inventory. Now, if you get it right, it's basically your secret weapon for growth. But if you get it wrong, well, it's a slow, painful bleed that can drain your company completely dry. So let's dive right in.
It really all boils down to this one huge question every single business has to wrestle with. Do you risk having stockouts, which means leaving your customers angry and empty handed, or do you risk having an overstock, where all your cash is tied up in products that are just sitting there collecting dust? Either mistake, as you can see, can easily become a billion-dollar blunder. And that leads us perfectly into the absolute core of this whole topic, what I call the inventory balancing act. This isn't just about counting boxes in a warehouse. Not at all. This is a super high-stakes, strategic trade-off that can literally make or break your entire operation. So check this out. This slide lays out the two warring factions in the inventory battle perfectly. On one side, you've got service availability. That's the drive to make every customer ecstatic by having everything they could possibly want in stock right now. But on the other side, you have the harsh reality of carrying cost. That's every single dollar you're spending on warehousing, insurance, and the very real risk of your products becoming obsolete. It is a constant, brutal tug of war. And if you're wondering what happens when you get that balance wrong, well, the financial hit is just massive. Stockouts mean you're losing sales, and worse, you're losing customer loyalty. Overstock means you are literally burning cash on storage for things that aren't selling. There's no easy win here. So the real question is, how do you find that perfect, elusive sweet spot? Well, that brings us to our first really powerful tool for finding that perfect balance. We're going to talk about finding your economic sweet spot by using a classic but incredibly effective formula known as EOQ. Economic order quantity, or EOQ for short, is kind of the secret sauce for optimizing your orders. It's a mathematical formula, sure, but what it does is tell you the exact quantity you should be ordering to keep both your ordering costs and your holding costs at an absolute minimum. It's all about finding that perfect equilibrium. And the EOQ curve is really where the magic happens. Think of it like this. The more stuff you order at once, the cheaper each individual order is, right? But the more you order, the more you have to pay to store all of it. The EOQ is that perfect sweet spot on the curve where those two costs intersect, giving you the absolute lowest total cost possible. And I absolutely love this analogy because it just makes it click, EOQ helps you figure out the perfect sized grocery run for your business. You're not buying so much that things spoil on the shelf, but you're buying just enough so you don't have to waste time and money making another trip tomorrow. It's that simple. But wait a second. What about surprises? What happens when demand just suddenly spikes out of nowhere, or critical shipment gets delayed? That's where our next concept comes in. Let's talk about your ultimate safety net, mastering safety stock. Now, I want to share a quick story that shows you just how incredibly high the stakes can be. There was a major pharmaceutical distributor, and they were facing an absolute nightmare scenario: constant stockouts of critical, life-saving medicines. We're not talking about a delayed shipment of sneakers here. We're talking about things that could impact patient health. The damage to their reputation, and more importantly, to patients, was potentially catastrophic. So what did they do? They went straight back to the fundamentals. First, they did a really rigorous analysis to recalculate their safety stock levels, that's that crucial buffer inventory, for their most important medicines. And then they did something brilliant. They took human guesswork completely out of the equation by automating their reorder points based on real-time data. And the results? Honestly, they were game-changing. Their service availability skyrocketed. Patients were getting the medicine they needed right when they needed it. And here's the best part. They managed to do all of this while keeping their overall inventory costs totally under control. It's a perfect textbook example of why mastering your safety stock is so critical. So, we've seen how powerful the right tools and tactics can be. But beyond all the formulas, there's a bigger, more strategic question of philosophy. Do you go for the super lean, agile approach of just in time, or do you build a fortress with the security of just in case? This is a fundamental choice. Let's break this down, because it really gets to the heart of inventory strategy. Just in time, or JIT, which was famously pioneered by Toyota, is the definition of lean. Parts arrive just moments before they're needed. A great example is a fast fashion company like Zara, which can react to a new trend and get it into stores in weeks.
On the flip side, you have the just-in-case philosophy. This is all about building a fortress. You have huge stockpiles of everything you might need. Think about an automaker like Ford needing a constant, massive supply of standard bolts, or a consumer goods giant like Procter & Gamble. They simply cannot afford to have an empty shelf where Tide is supposed to be. Okay, so we've covered the trade-offs, the tools, and the core philosophies. Now, how do you actually put all of this into practice? Let's get really practical with your inventory master plan. It's a simple but incredibly powerful checklist for anyone in the field.
Here it is, your 3-step action plan. Number 1, validate your forecast. You have to, because let's be honest, garbage in, garbage out. If your prediction for what customers will buy is wrong, your whole system will fail. Number 2, automate your triggers. Just like we saw in that pharmaceutical example, automating your reorder points removes human error and emotion from the process. And number 3, review your stock. You have to be disciplined about regularly identifying those slow-moving products that are just sitting there, tying up your cash in your warehouse space. So I'm going to leave you with this one final question to think about. When you look at your own business, is your inventory a hidden asset that's fueling your growth and delighting your customers? Or is it a ticking time bomb, silently eating away at your profits day after day? The answer to that question truly could be the difference between success and failure.